Okay, go ahead, introduce yourself, what you do.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Paige Hill. I'm the let me rephrase that. I am the resident therapist and founder of the Balanced Dome Holistic Therapies and Counseling. So I actually have a diploma of professional counseling. I offer life coaching and holistic therapies and spiritual therapy to anybody who typically suffers through trauma that is hard to detach from. But I have a wealth of knowledge in a lot of things. So, you know, that sort of thing. That's my jam.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the different modalities that you use?
Sure. So I come from a background where I've studied a lot of esotericism. I've studied a lot of Carl Gustav Jung. I've studied a lot of like formal training when it comes to professional counseling and mental health. And in fact, I'm actually currently in process of getting my master's in psychology and anthropology. Both those schools of thought kind of like compile and compose the whole entirety of me because I'm very, very invested in understanding the development of culture to help build healthy societies and culture as a whole. And how can we collectively build on, creating a healthy ecosystem for each and every one of us based upon our own upbringing and that sort of thing. And so the different kinds of modalities that I use besides my training in university and college is I am also indigenous. So I've always had a spiritual kind of aspect to my life. So through that, I've always been interested in things like yoga and things like multicultural spiritual practices. One specific service that I have that I really, really love to work with is a mindfulness practice called karmic energy clearing. And what this does is it's a meditation on what some people say are seven keys to abundance, but really it's the seven chakras and power centers within the body. And we open up those chakras and we talk about any kind of things that are coming up, perhaps trauma, perhaps attachments, perhaps negative feelings that need boundaries to be created, which we develop healthy life plans and boundaries for, you know, um, perhaps a person who's been a bully at work, you know what I mean? All kinds of things. But it all centers around your power centers and how you yourself perceive yourself and emanate and put yourself out there into the world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense.
Good.
How did you get into doing that?
Well, since I was a child, I'll get into a little bit of that. So since I was a child, I've always kind of been a little different. I I'm a little bit woo-woo here, okay? But when I was a kid, I actually used to speak with the spirit world. Okay. My mom would always see me staring at the walls and the ceiling and see me talking to things. And it's because I could see this undulating shift and change into the walls and people's faces coming through. Now, some people might call that schizophrenia, but I was a child. Some people might call that imaginary friends. That could be, but these were like adults that were trying to guide and talk to me, right? So I give a lot of credit to my Swampy Cree background. I'm from the Swampy Cree Opasquiac Cree Nation, and we always have this belief of interconnectedness and understanding that there is so much more to this world than what is, right? And this is before I even understood that, right? Just always had this understanding that there was another world out there that could not be seen, or proven beyond the shadow of a doubt, right? And throughout my life as a kid, I've always loved doing things with science. I've loved biology. I loved chemistry. I loved archaeology. That when I was a child, my mom said when I was 5 years old, I could tell you the specific genome and like the name of dinosaurs, like the scientific nomenclature, when I was like 5 years old, and people were like, whoa, right? So I've always had a knack for understanding things a little bit differently than most of the people in the area I grew up in, right? Because I grew up in a mining town. So it's kind of hard to look beyond those kinds of small town principles, you know? But for some reason, there's there's a few kids out there that just think a little bit beyond their region and normal way of life, right? I was one of those kids. So, um, let me think. I've always had a knack or want to be a doctor as well. I read at a grade 8 level in kindergarten, and I always wanted to be a doctor. And I didn't quite know what kind of doctor, so I figured it was anthropology that was my jam. And you know, my ideas when I went to university uh, were forever changed because my idea of what anthropology was versus what it is in this day and age are completely two different worlds. But I mean, that didn't technically stop me. It just changed my way of thinking, and I had to pull back and reconsider my life plan, right? What I wanted to do with my life. And I became kind of like a disenfranchised child running around in my 20s doing discombobulated things. Like I traveled and lived in Toronto for 10 years, and I lived in, you know, a number of places along Canada, and I traveled the United States and did all kinds of things, only to come back to the fact that um you know, core problems with the First Nations people and core issues with humanity at large are still unaddressed to this day, right? I come from a background where you know, let's talk about a little bit of hard stuff. I come from a background of child sexual assault, okay? And you know, moving through life with that kind of experience, you grow up very fast, right? And not necessarily in positive ways, right? So, you know, as smart as I was, as good of a person as I was, there was trauma along my path. And it's all due to the fact that um, society has a lot of growing up to do and a lot of understanding about its functioning, right? It has a lot of wounds it has unaddressed and needs to be healed. And so throughout my life path, I was walking through life just not knowing what to do. And when it came down to it, I had a really great friend who pulled me aside and said, come be a nurse. Let's get you into healthcare because you'd be a great nurse. And so I went on that path. I actually decided to start with healthcare aid, right? Because I wanted to get my boots on the ground and be somebody who helps the seniors because, you know, I helped my granny through breast cancer when she was in her 80s and she went through remission, right? Because I think the core issue about life is like when you express love and care, when you show up every day and you say, I'm here for you, let's heal what's going on, people notice that. And once they notice that, their positivity begins to open up everything, and then they begin to heal. It begins to fill their body, their absolute pristine container, and it begins to just heal everything, right? But you need to know first that the people in your camp are on your side, right? That are there supporting you, helping you to walk again. right? There are things in this world that are beyond our understanding. And one of the ways of understanding that shocked me, for example, is when I got my Reiki attunement. I actually have my second level. I'm not a master, and I choose not to be a master just yet, because I have the larger aim of getting my anthropology and psychology sorted out first. But I have my second attunement. And before my granny passed, I came into my hometown of Flin Flon, and she had a huge bruise on her foot. She's diabetic, has heart conditions, and just survived cancer. And I was just passing through after helping her through her remission. And her foot, okay, this is the foot, bruising from like half of her foot. Imagine that. And bruising takes a long time to heal when you have diabetes, especially in the feet, right? Because your circulation, your blood flow is slowed down, right? So I come through, and this is me being an absolute novice in all this. I place my hands on her feet and I'm giving her Reiki energy, right? Because I've been attuned, and it's a beautiful thing to be attuned to Reiki. I suggest it for everybody because, like, when you go through the ritual of becoming attuned, it's like you're becoming a lotus, like you're opening up like your connection to the universe in order to bring healing through you and then giving it to somebody else. It's beautiful. But me being a novice at the time, I laid my hands on her feet and I just said, let's heal this. Let's get this feeling better. And I was only there to visit for 3 days. Like, imagine an hour in 3 days, I'm visiting my granny. And okay, bruising was from here, right? So, first day, the bruising from the tip of her toes went to this. Okay. Second day, she was shocked, right? She hands me her foot, so I heal her. And then the second day, it was like halfway, her bruising's gone. By the third day, you knew it was going to be gone. And it was so crazy because, like, she's an indigenous woman, and but she's very scared of things that are spiritual and healing of that nature. One time she almost passed out when people were trying to lay hands on her in a church, right? Because she was scared. It was Christian. So she was she embraced it though. Like, she was like, you're healing me. I'm giving you my other foot. Do it right now. That's the kind of energy she was giving me. And I was shocked because I'm like, this is actually working this fast. Like, I've never seen this kind of, it's superhuman. You know what I mean? Uh, and that's when I began to really believe that there are things in this world that are just beyond our comprehension, but can truly give us back um, healing and grace and all these beautiful things. So, one modality is Reiki. Um, in my current practice, okay, my whole intention right now, while I go to school, is to give 3 premium services I have away for free because I just want to share what I have and get some sort of feedback, right? To learn what people think and feel about being in my presence, right? For one. Two, how healing actually works for them, right? Because it's very important. And also to know what my demographic is. So typically I see myself working with women. Women tend to be pulled towards me, and they hide a lot, right? That's what I'm noticing about that, is there's a trauma they're not ready to face, but they're ready to start facing it. And that's important for me to know, because then I can say, hey, I'm here for you. I've got this. Let's start with the karmic energy clearing and work our way to being completely clear of whatever's bothering you, right? So um that's my life coaching part. The psychology and the counseling part, I tend to go existential with everything. So I keep things very philosophical, but very like energy based, where it's like I'm learning from you what exactly it is that you need, right? And that could be through like understanding body responses, like subtle changes in the expression, how relaxed you feel in the setting, all of that stuff. And I've been formally trained in counseling to a point where I can do that, right? And create a safe space for you to share, but that takes time, right? Um so I tend to keep things philosophical for the most part, and I leave things open for my client to reach out to me for and let them know that I can address any issue that comes up because I'm looking for them to be honest and discuss things with me, right? I'm not here to tell you how to be. I'm not here to guide you in any way except perhaps to like light up the options you have in front of you to live your best life and to help create a balanced home, right? That's the kind of slogan I have is the balanced home is a way for you to create a healthy and more balanced home. Because personally, I came from one that was very chaotic, and I had to build up to creating a more balanced life for myself, and I did it. I'm doing it, and I want you guys to know it's possible for you.
Quite an amazing story and a long one.
I can talk, girl.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, how have you changed the way that you network over time since you started doing all of these healing modalities?
Well, my networking could use some polishing. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very shy in some ways, right? Reaching out to people and having the time, especially right now while I'm going to university, has been a struggle. I really want to get things right. Like I really need to know the information that's in front of me right now because I want to be assured that once I graduate, that I'm really truly here 100% in the fullest capacity of the skill set I'm training myself in to be for you guys, right? Psychology is no joke. Like I'm learning things that I never thought I would learn in psychology, and I'm going in just for my master's, although they're already poking my brain to be a PhD, and I'm nervous as all hell about that. I don't even want to look at that right now. But it's the schools of thought I'm training in right now, they see life very differently than I do, and I can tell, and I wonder how to insert myself there so that I can be of help to everybody, because I feel like right now with the schools of thought, with both anthropology and psychology, there is still a disconnect between the true spirit of human connection and being there for others versus being scholarly and knowing what you're talking about, right? Like, I would love to find a way to be a bridge towards helping people to take what I know and instill it into their own life and practice and make the world a better place, because I can't do it alone. And networking is one of those ways that I would like to do that. And certainly, I love Lori. Girls, guys, if you meet Lori, get to know her, talk with her. She's great. Her spirit is wonderful. She's helping me right now to kind of relax and share because I'm a book nerd for the most part. Like, as you can see, I got a cat back there. I've got three others, so I got four cats, you know. So you're helping me to break the ice and feel more comfortable of sharing my story and hopefully make some new connections and help each other and collaborate. Those are fun things to do, and I can't be afraid of that anymore. So types of networking, I'm hoping to grow my group to start that where, I have a promotional day, but more so than that, it's like I'm hoping to teach people to break the ice, right? To not be afraid of visibility, right? It's so important. And I think both you and I are learning that as well from Amanda Rose, if you don't mind me mentioning her.
No, go ahead. She's very active in my group.
Yeah. So I appreciate that girl like you wouldn't believe. Like she helps to like reduce any kind of like cowardice I may have for my own, stickler kind of situations amongst another mentor I have. But I mean, um, y'all have been really helpful in helping me to break down those walls. So thank you very much.
Would you say you're more introverted or extroverted?
It depends on the day. It really does. Um, but with you right now, I'm feeling very extroverted. This is the most I've been able to just open up and share. But at the same time, yesterday, for example, um, I needed my mentor. I'm going through a healing process myself, right, to get rid of some residual bad juju that's just been sticking with me and making me make like some more introverted decisions than I would like to have, right? Because I get told every day that my methods are great. They're healing, they're comforting, they help to open up people so that they feel more like themselves, which is the whole hope of my practice is that I'm able to do that where they feel fearless to be themselves. But I myself, sometimes I find that I shirk back into old patterns and I need to shape up. So, um, I worked with a mentor to kind of help me get out of myself because I mean, I'm better than the pain I've suffered before, if that makes sense. Like, um, I sometimes let my own self down because I'm too busy feeling the pain of my past. And I'm working with her to release that because that's not where I'm going, right? And I think that's an important lesson for everybody if they're hanging on to something or they're attached to something to just think about letting it go today, making that decision of clearing it. I can't tell you enough how important clearing energy is for the body, the mind, the soul, and the spirit. Everything about it is just, it feels so good. Like yesterday, I had a good cry, but it also felt like so much was like taken off my shoulders, and I was able to feel better about my life and my ability to offer support to others, right? So, it depends on the day, introverted or extroverted. What would you say? What would you say I am?
I tend to be more ambivert myself, and I love how you bring that up because I actually thought I was like super introverted. And then I started realizing that some of those behaviors I thought were super introverted were me not actually doing what I wanted to do because of like previous experiences and the mindset around that. So one of the things that I help people with is getting past those mindset blocks of like, oh, this bad experience happened, so then I don't want to do this, or oh, I experienced rejection. So then, like, but thinking about things in a different way has really helped me do things that like initially felt uncomfortable, but then the more I do them, the better I get at them. So I'm really glad you brought that up because some people think they're like super introverted when really they're not. They just had some experiences that kind of made them want to, crawl into a hole. What I've seen with more true introverts is they're more like, yeah, they love talking, but it's like more, yeah, I want to say more in-depth kind of conversations. It's not just like hiding from people.
Awesome. Yes, and that's what I find with you naturally. Like when you and I get to hang out and have a chat, I feel like I can openly have a conversation with you. There's other people where I just clam up and then I'm asking myself why. And when I speak with you in specific, it's just like, oh yeah, I can talk with Lori. It's all good. It's great, in fact. So it's a good energy you bring. So I appreciate that.
Mhm. Would you say getting comfortable being uncomfortable is part of the entrepreneur skill set?
Getting uncomfortable and being uncomfortable.
Oh, getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh, that. Yes, I've heard that line before. And you know what? Yeah, yeah. Speaking of being in university, that's all you ever feel is you get used to feeling uncomfortable because you're out of your depth, right? And as an entrepreneur, you very well could be. You could be chasing something that you might feel is out of your depth, but trust and believe you have people in your camp you may not even know, and they are supporting you and they believe in you. And like, when you get comfortable being uncomfortable, that means you're a master of your own destiny. And it's important to feel that uncomfortableness because then you're charging ahead despite any challenge that might come your way so that you can show up and be like, hey, I'm here for it. Let's go. Right. And let's just take it all on. Let's go. So
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious if you prefer networking more in groups or one-to-one types of events or conversations.
I like one to one, but I do plan on doing group sessions. And I mean, obviously, in an interview kind of thing where it's all more focused on me, I'm not sure. But me as a therapist, I would love to start doing group sessions. When I was focusing on that part of my diploma program when I became a counselor, that's one of the things you train and you study towards is getting into group therapy as well, just in case, because you might have a large populace of people that really have the same issue in an area. And so it's better to get a group going so that you can understand the intricacies of that same problem, right? That crops up, for example, anxiety, right? So you have a group and then you're reaching out to that group and they're giving you feedback as to how they respond, sharing the same problem of having anxiety, right? And then you as a therapist can see everything around you and you can be like, ah, okay, well then the core problem is anxiety. Here is the core solution to that problem that can actually almost fit everybody, right? And they all feel better for it because they're feeling understood even as an individual, right? That that is a really great question. Um
I'm curious
because
for networking, though. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm curious specifically when you're networking.
oh yeah, sorry. I can just talk about whatever, if I go off, you bring me back. That's awesome. Um so networking. Um I think currently I really like the one-on-one because then I'm able to kind of, look at the person and they can just get to know me as a person and then we just excuse me, create kind of like a space where they understand me, my inner workings, and I them, perhaps. And I can then talk to them and see where I personally can support them if I can, if they need me, and vice versa, right? Um, it's been a little bit of a challenge at times because you get some sorts that are more interested in making the sale versus meeting the person. And that I feel is a big shutdown for me. If I notice somebody is like only wanting to meet me to make the sale and like show their program and do this, and it's not actually, hey, this is what I know, this is what I do. How can I help you? This is the energy I bring. Like, who are you? What do you know what I mean? Like, if it's not relatable, if it's just cold calling and like talking to me like I got this service, I can do this for you. I don't have proof and I don't have trust built. You know what I mean? So one-on-one is a perfect way to figure that out. Group is great. Except it depends. It depends. Because one voice could be completely silenced, right? Um, in a group setting. And I personally don't like that. So I prefer one-to-one with networking. Let's just say it like that. You learn more with a one-on-one than you do in group, I imagine.
Yeah, well, what I found with networking, it's kind of a two-stage process. Join the group, and then you meet the people one-to-one in the group that you want to connect deeper with.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point.
Did you invest in upgrading your networking skill set?
No, I kind of did. I kind of did. With Amanda Rose's groups, her infinite groups, I've invested in the One Pass to Rule Them All. I don't know if you heard of that, but I actually think that's really great. And it's because I can take what I'm posting in my group and share it with everybody else. And if anybody blips on there, that's a sign that I can probably reach out to them and have a little chit chat and see where we can maybe meet somewhere in the middle and do all that networking stuff. Though, it's been tricky for me because of my schedule, right? With university and stuff like that. I think I can afford like 1 hour a day, if that, on personal stuff. And I consider networking personal time right now. So, yeah. Does that make sense? Is
Yeah, it
that
totally makes sense.
okay?
Did you make some online connections that you invested more time than you should have invested in them?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, there are those people out there that will kind of bamboozle you for time. Like they will meet you, but you can instantly tell and read from them that they just want you for their sale, right? They don't want to get to know you as a person, or perhaps they want to get to know you enough so that they take what you know and resell it and slap their label on it and say, this is what I know. And it's like, actually, that's what I know. And you're not even referring me. And I could probably help them more than you can. You know what I mean? But I don't care because I'm not after your client base. I just want to get to know you as a person and see how I can help you, right? So there are those people out there, and to them I say, thanks for the lesson, but I won't be investing because it's obvious, right? It's obvious. The goal is obvious. And it's sad because we really could have had something amazing where we share and we straighten each other's crown. I love doing that for people. And if it's all about the sale, it's not about that. So,
Yeah, I've done that, pruned people from my friends list to just like appointment setters. And it's not really something that my audience is looking for. And it's not something that I'm looking for. So I'm like, okay, you know, just stopped adding those people. And then if I do find them, I realize, okay, this isn't aligned and, not putting the time into that.
for sure. Yeah, it's important. I mean, also, too, nowadays, I'm told that Facebook, right? Their algorithm's crazy where it's like if you have a bunch of people who are unaligned and are not helping you with your vision, then the amount of promotion you'll get goes down, right? So it's almost in your best interest to be a little bit of a shark in order to know that, well, you're not giving me value. I'm not able to give you value. What good are we? You know? And are you even checking, like, am I even helping you with my client list, with my friends list? And why should I be? Because you're not providing, you know what I mean? Like it's feedback. It's a feedback loop. You have to be worthy of reciprocity, in a way, and give. And if you receive, that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, reciprocal energy relationships, which I love how you've addressed that.
Well, you're awesome, Lori. I feel like I can share here.
So, what are your thoughts on tapping into your intuition when networking?
Okay, tapping into my intuition when networking. Well, Intuition is a funny thing, especially when you come from a place of trauma. Okay. I myself, I've always had a tricky road of knowing who to trust, right? And through knowing who to trust and getting it wrong, right? You learn to not trust yourself wholly. And so I've had to do a lot of healing in order to recoup that lost trust for human connection and human interactivity. And I believe I'm getting there, right? But the most wonderful personal advice I've took on for myself is don't worry about that. Give anyway, right? Be yourself. And if the wrong person comes, you do know, right? You'll get a sense of it at a certain point and be like, I gotta hold back, like something's not feeling 100% right here. And you know, you wish them well, right? And that goes with anything, like even bad relationships. You can just say, I loved you so hard, but I got to let you go because it's not good for me. At the end of the day, I got to look after my own heart and take care of it and know that I matter more. At the end of the day, I'm not going to jump off a bridge for you, right? I love you, but I gotta let you go. At the end of the day, there's this core understanding of where your energy begins and where it ends, right? And through karmic energy clearing, when I do sessions with people, that's one of the things I teach people is knowing where you end and where somebody else begins. Because there are people in this world that will take, and you could be the most giving person in the whole universe, right? But you get tired at a certain point when nothing is given back, again, with this reciprocity thing. Because, how do I put this? It's just sometimes when you love somebody, let's just put it in the perspective of a relationship. Sometimes when you love somebody and they're expressing to you, yeah, I'll take that, but not give love back. At a certain point, you got to ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I giving you the air that I breathe and you continuously take it and now I'm breathless? Right? I don't like feeling breathless or out of breath and tired all the time. I like to feel like my energy is always like feeling good and always reciprocated and always flowing and always giving. Like there's a certain way one must feel in order to feel life itself, right? And good and everything is beautiful and abundant and wise and well, right? So every single person deserves to feel that way. And so intuitively, there's a line that you have to know. Like that intuitive is inner knowing and knowing the self, right? So once you know your limitations, you know what you will and will not tolerate. And that's essentially what I help teach people is their boundaries, because it's important to have healthy boundaries, even with people that you really like and you. Every person needs to have a boundary at a certain point and just be like, this is my bubble and that's your bubble and we're good, right? That's what I say.
Yeah, absolutely. I've noticed myself when I've gone on my healing journey that like initially like it's not my feelings that I have to pay attention to, it's my intuition, which is like, because sometimes things could, somebody could like make you feel good and then you could get carried away, but they could really be doing that for reasons that aren't conducive to helping you. Or you could like feel really bad talking to a person, but it could be your trauma response from like previous poor interactions. So
Oh, absolutely.
so I learned you have to listen to the intuition, not the feelings in the moment.
Hmm. Hmm. And that's what I learned too, like through trauma. And I use relationships as an example because a lot of my clientele actually talk about personal relationships with really bad exes that did them very wrong and created like horrific scenarios. And I tell them, one, I'm like, I can relate. Two, like, I can tell you, you can overcome it, right? And three, it's very important to learn that you might not trust yourself now in your decisions, but you need to understand, like, there's something within you that it has a compass, right? Like you navigate for some reason, whether you understand or know it, that you control your own ship or not, you're doing it, right? And it's just about slowing down the nervous system, perhaps, because if you're in complex post-traumatic stress disorder, you're triggered by so many things, overstimulated by so many things, flashbacks going crazy, you know what I mean? Like hypervigilance, hyper, all kinds of things, right? Just triggers, triggers, triggers. We got to slow you down. We got to say, hey, let's assess what's going on here, understand why you're responding the way that you're doing, and work with that. Once you know how you respond, you're beginning to master your own destiny and the way that you make decisions and show up in your life and feel good about yourself. And then we start to work with you and talk about how we can start to build those good feelings so that they're consistent and not always looking for a trauma response because you're used to that, right? So you may not trust yourself right now, but you have to learn how to, because you're doing it without even knowing, right? Your inner knowing is happening without you knowing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, any closing remarks for
My babies are misbehaving right now. What's up?
oh, the cat?
Yeah. Fade and Fluffy. Okay. Fade is the mom, and Fluffy is like, she's a magical cat. She has the longest fur out of everyone. But let me tell you why she's a magical cat. When she was born from Fade, and she had this shortest hair as a kitten. As soon as hubby said, I'm going to name you Fluffy, and it took him a couple weeks to come up with this name, but as soon as she was named, she was the fluffiest cat in the whole litter. It was the cutest thing. It was magical. Well, anyways, she's our ballerina and she's over dramatic. So if anybody does anything, she's hissing, hey, Fade. And then Fade, she's, give me a second. I'll be right back. I gotta separate them. Get over here. Get over here. You couldn't. I'm almost done. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no,
Fade's chasing her and been like, shut up, bitch.
yeah, because I saw two of them in the background, and I'm like, that's good. Nice voice in the background.
Okay, okay, we're good. That's Fade right there. That's the mama cat.
The one on the
Okay,
post.
yeah, yeah. And then that's Thumper. She has no tail. But you were saying,
Yeah, go ahead. Anything you wanted to add? This is the final question, so you don't have to worry about going on for hours. And
oh, nobody's worried. I'm just, I don't know why they decided to just go crazy all of a sudden. Anyway, the only thing I want to add is, if you got something from this, I'm trying to grow my group to 200 people and just trying to get the project that I have, that I call Free to Be 100, completed. All right. I offer karmic energy clearings for absolutely free. I offer Reiki sessions for absolutely free. And I also do tarot readings. I'm currently offering a Guides, Guardians, and Archangels tarot reading, which is like a 45-minute session to sit down and speak with your spirit team for absolutely free in exchange for a testimonial. And we're doing a growth group November challenge, trying to get the group to 200 people. And if people help us to grow, I'm giving away a tiger's eye palm stone, which is like 6 ounces of tiger's eye crystal. It's beautiful. It helps to ground your energy. and make you feel like you're a tigress and like powerful. So that's the hope, and that's just so that I can reach out to people and help them to heal. Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much for being interviewed.
Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. We should do this again if you're interested.
Sure.